So in the IT world, the saying goes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Well, that's not always true, and it's not always the best practice. As we know, technology continues to move on, and things get outdated. Here's a good example. My web server of choice is Nginx, and I am currently running on Debian 9, which, as we all know, was end of life this past July. So there are no more updates. There's no more. Well, I can't. Let me step back. There are security updates, but there's like you can't get new software, you can't get new features because, again, the OS is out of date. So anytime you're dealing with older OSs, first thing you need to do is make backups. So I'm going to go through real quick, and I'm going to back up my Nginx config folder because, I just need it, and I'm going to back it off. But I want to show you guys something. In case you're ever wondering, besides where it says up top that this is based on Debian 9, you can always go into an OS and you can tab out etc OS release, and it will show you. So I'm currently running 9.9, but this is this version of Debian was released from Linaro, and the reason I got it was the ASUS Tinkerboard, when it came out, was really nice, very powerful. I mean, it's got 4 cores, 2 gigs of memory. It's been a real nice board. The problem was at the time there weren't a lot of OSs. So when Linaro came out, I grabbed it, and it's been working great. It's been a nice power horse. So with that being said, it's time for us to say goodbye and update. And I'm going to be updating to Armbian, and here in a second I'll show you where you can grab it and how to update your board. Armbian, if you go to their website, and I'll put the link below, releases a lot of versions of their OS, which is really nice for a ton of ARM boards. So if you do a search for Tinkerboard, you will find the Tinkerboard /s, and if you go down, what we want to do, because we're going to be using a server base, is we're going to want to grab the Bullseye CLI, and we'll click this link. Go ahead, and I've already downloaded, as you can see, and then save it. Once we do that, you can use either the Armbian OS burner, or my favorite is Etcher. And let's go ahead and start using Etcher. Okay, we got Etcher installed. Now we have our image. So we're going to go ahead and burn it. So we'll go over here, select it. It is in a compressed format. That's what the XZ means. So don't worry, unless you have something like 7-zip on your computer, or you're using Linux, it will not understand what that format is, but Etcher does. So we'll go ahead and select that. We're going to select our SD card, and we're going to flash. And then we're going to tell Windows that it's okay, because it's doing this to make sure you're not about to format something else. And the first thing it needs to do is it has to decompress the image. This will take a few seconds. And as it's going, you can read the ads that Etcher shows. Nice thing about the ads that they show is they're actually trying to show you other projects that you can use. Now that the image has been decompressed, we're going to go ahead and flash it to our SD card. Again, this should only take a couple seconds. And then the last thing it's going to do is it's going to validate that the image that you burn is good. Sometimes you can start downloading an image. There might have been a disruption. You hit reconnect, redo, and the image is bad, or you may have just hit a bad site. So the validation's nice because it saves you a little bit of time. If you do hit any errors with your image, the nice thing to do is to get SD formatter. It's free, and you can use it to reformat your card. Alright, now it's time to move to our small board computer and put the image in there. Again, this is an ASUS Tinkerboard, not an S. There is a difference. The S has 16 gigs of eMMC. This is the original Tinkerboard that we're upgrading to Bullseye, which is Debian 11. Okay, we got the image on the board. We are powering up. There we go. The image is booting up. Full disclosure, this is the second time for me to do this. First time, for some odd reason, it wasn't coming up. Not sure why. One of the things I've honestly hated about the ASUS boards is the fact that the 4K video tends to be problematic. Most of the equipment I have is either 1080p or 720p, and because of that I would have issues running the board. The board would power up and it'd do flashing. So the first time I wasn't getting a signal and I really got frustrated, plugged it up, and it was there waiting. So it's not the image, it's something to do with the capture card and ODS. So it's coming up. This is Armbian 11, and we will be asked here in a couple minutes to finish setting it up. So alright, first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our password for root. This is a really cool feature that I like of Armbian. Next, we're going to select our default shell. We are going to set up our user. Don't worry if you hit back and it disappears, it is setting it up. And it's going to say password doesn't match, that's fine. For some odd reason, the enter key bounced twice, but you know that things happen. You just make sure you select it. Yes, we're going to go ahead and select our language. We're going to select English, and it should be setting up the location and everything like that. Alright. Armbian -config works like pi-config. So I just want to check a couple things real quick. And the daemon should be installed. Alright. Okay. IP is selected, boot name. This is what I wanted to check. So it does detect that I'm on the eastern seaboard. Alright, that we are using a US keyboard. And now we're going to change our host name. Okay. And go back. And you can also use this to install some software on there. Right now, I'm just trying to get this set up, so let's go ahead. Tell it to go ahead and read. One other thing I want it to redo real quick. I want to see if Network Manager is up and running. And I'm normally not this bad of a typist, but there we go. So a couple things I want to do real quick, okay? I'm natting a lot of my settings, which is probably more information than you guys should know. So I'm going to disable IPv6 because natting right now with IPv6 is not something I'm comfortable with. So I'm going to go ahead and set my IP, and I'm going to reboot the box. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and come back, and then we're going to go ahead and show you how to get Nginx up and running. Okay? Alright. We've made our changes. We're now bringing the image back up. Again, the video is flashing. I wish there was a way that it would do a little bit better on the video, but again, like I said, that's been a personal pet peeve of mine. All right. Okay. I love this GeekPi case. I'll put it in there. One of the reasons I use it is because I have a how big of a hard drive? I want to say it's a 500 gig, but I know it's going to come back and be something else. Yeah, 500 gig hard drive. Actually, no, a 448 SSD hard drive that I use for disk space. The other hard drive that's showing up here is actually the old Debian 9. I went ahead and attached it using SmartQ USB SD and micro SD card reader so I can get my files off of there. Alright, just want to check the new specs out. So really nice. We're only using 90 of the 2 gigs. My Dell Optiplex 750. The max memory that I could put in it was 2 gigs, and the number of cores was actually less. And like I said, for years that was my my Nginx front end, and then when the hard drive failed on it, I decided to go ahead and use the ASUS Tinkerboard because it was just sitting there collecting dust, and it worked really good, or really great. And the reason I'm upgrading it is I want to get a little bit more features. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just make sure all my packages are up to date. And as you can see, we're pulling everything down. This should be pretty much up to date. The image was released in end of November, and I just upgraded a Libra Computer Renegade board, and it only needed like 6 packages. So it's really nice having something that's truly up to date. So here in a second we should get our prompt back with the list of packages, and it does say that there are, we're doing a minor distro update, so we'll go ahead and do upgrade. We're going from Bullseye 11.5 to 11.6, so that's pretty cool. And we're grabbing really not a lot of files, as you can see, so we'll go ahead and do that real quick. We're not getting a new kernel, so there's really no need for reboot. One sad note real quick while I'm waiting for this update is Georgia Tech, which is one of our local colleges, university here in Georgia, has stopped being a distro for, a mirror distro for Debian. And it took me quite by surprise because I was using them for all my Debian boxes, and went to upgrade earlier in October and was basically getting like, can't find it. And start looking around, and that's when I found out that it was truly gone. Wrote the school, and they're like, yeah, nobody's paying to help support it. So if you have a mirror site that you like, find out what you can do to support them and be a if they need a little cash, a little time, something. That way you don't find out one day that they're gone. Alright, so I'm going to do real quick. Let's do a clear. That way we have a better. So when you're looking for files, you'll do app cache search. And we're looking again for Nginx. I used to be a big Apache fan, but Nginx, this has a very nice syntax. It's easier. Very easy to set up for proxying, and that's pretty much what I do. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and say app install, and I'm going to throw in Midnight Commander because it's a real useful tool for moving files around. Vim, because if you ever going to get a job in IT as a sysadmin, companies do not use Nano, they use Vim, and I would highly recommend you use it because even the older systems have VI, and all Vim is Vim improved. Okay, you can have the whole editor war on your own. Believe it or not, I started out with Pico, which is the father to Nano. Went to work for a company, and had to learn very hard how to use Vim, and it's super easy. So we'll do Vim, Nginx extra. Okay, and this should get most of my RPMs, because as you can see there, it says Nginx web proxy and extended versions, which normally means it has a lot of the packages. And if we're missing something, we'll come back and we will make sure we get it. Some of the packages I do recommend when you are ready to use this. Alt-PAM's great, so that you can use it instead of password file. You can use local passwords. DevExtent is a great web file sharing service, and this gives some components that are missing to Nginx. Fancy Index, I just like it because if you're still one of those people that need to show off files and things like that, you can put little icons and stuff like that, and it's really good. A lot of the rest of this stuff, it just depends on you need it. So we'll go ahead and do that. And let's see, I want to go ahead. HTOP is installed. That's one of my other packages. That should be it, except I want to go ahead and get nload and ntop, just because I like to see what's going on. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and get net SMP. Okay, because I use Zaxby's and Check Engine and Nagios to check my host, and that should get it. All right. Well, hold on. Let's see. So app. Cache. Search. Ntop. I thought mtop was... There's security polling. Okay. Well, we'll skip that for right now. But... the other one, hold on, the other one real quick is SNMP. And the reason I like SNMP is I can get some really nice traps, and I'm probably getting the wrong syntax. It looks like it's just SNMP. Okay. So we'll just drop the ntop for now. SNMP and SNMPD, and we'll go ahead and install. Okay, you can do a -y and it'll install everything automatically. I just like to go over real quick to make sure that I'm getting everything I need. Last thing we're going to do is we're going to enable it, and then we're going to show that it's working, and that's pretty much it. We've upgraded the OS to a modern day version that's still being up to date. As you can see, I'm pulling packages, and that's awesome. I know a lot of people who have an ASUS Tinkerboard, they're always wondering about that. So, alright, next thing I'm going to do is to enable -- now so that it'll start the service. Alright, and then we're going to do a clear. Now you can do a netstat, but netstats deprecated, and it's really recommended that you do SS in its place. Okay, plant, because I want to check for listening, TCP, and other connections. So I'm just going to go ahead and pipe it and grep it and pull down my Nginx, okay? Or grep for Nginx so I can see it. Nginx is up and running, as you can see, okay? The other thing I want to do real quick before I let you guys go is if you're running your own Nginx server, it needs to be secure. So I'm going to go through and do some hardening. I'll do that offline, but I'm going to shut down a lot of services I don't need. But the one thing I do want to show you that you should install, okay, is software for doing SSL certs. Let's Encrypt is a great service. If you want to run a web service, you don't want to pay 60 to 200 bucks for a SSL insert. Let's Encrypt is the way to go. So again, app cache, do a quick search, and we'll do let's encrypt, and there. Okay, so we're going to do app install -y. Certbot was the one I wanted to install. Okay, and it's now pulling everything down so that I can now have certificates. Okay, and this will take a second, and I'm going to show you just real quick that my new web server is up and running. A couple of software packages you can install. Firewall D is very nice if you're on Red Hat. I think on Debian and Ubuntu they call it something else. But alright, so now we got that. Let's go show that it's up and running, and there you go, folks. I have now upgraded my Nginx. As you can see from the bottom, was grabbing some other software. Again, my name's TerraPup. This is one of the videos I call UglyScale. UglyScale.press is coming in the months ahead. I will have more how-tos, but for right now, anybody who has an ASUS Tinkerboard and you're looking to still utilize it, please go check out Armbian, the Tinkerboard /S. You'll be very happy that there is still an OS that's up to date out there for you, and they do have both Ubuntu and Debian. I'm using the Debian Bullseye because the function of my Tinkerboard, as I stated, is for web hosting. Years ago I did use it for emulation, and if you are looking for emulation, you might want to look up ROTT, okay, retro on the Tinkerboard. That one is still being up to date and has many emulations that you can play with and enjoy. Again, TerraPup here. Please like and subscribe. I will try to release a video weekly, normally Saturday night, but last night was Christmas Eve here in the United States, and today is Christmas. I want to wish everybody Merry Christmas, and for those who celebrate other holidays, happy holidays. And next week there will not be a video, but the following week there will, because it is New Year's. Thank you for watching, and peace.